Welcome, Paulina. Paulina was in round 5 of the human design shadow training, and her and I were just chatting about this process that she has been going through. So I would love for you to share a little bit about where you were before you joined HDST, why you joined, your experience with some of the work, and where you feel like you are today, literally only 3 months later.
I was in this self-development thing for years, mainly going to into things from my head, working on my mindset, and I was like super not trusting people, not trusting mentors at some point, programs, workshops, because I was joining a lot of them and I was promised a lot of things. And the curriculum was like amazing and people had like extremely beautiful results. But when I was joining, it was just crickets. Like I
Mm,
was doing the work, but I felt something is missing. So when I remember it was the 13th, the day I saw one of your emails. I signed up to your email list a few months before I joined, but I saw this one email. Specifically, I remember starring it in my inbox.
mm,
And after this email, I wrote to you because it was so like I felt something in my sacral,
mhm.
something. I was in human design for few months like intensively. So I knew it was my sacral telling me something. I was working on that, but I was like, okay, so let's see how it goes. And I remember writing to you and chatting, and I was super suspicious about everything. And I remember I subconsciously wanted you to, you know, invite me or tell me what to do, but
Mhm.
it was kind of a tricky situation for me. So I was wondering because I had a one mentor just before and it was going quite well, but it wasn't getting me the results and the feeling that I wanted to
Mm,
feel
yeah.
doing the work and being supported. So once you were like strict with this, I can tell you about it. I can, give you some kind of things to for you to have information because I'm a 1-3, so I need information. I was sitting on this decision for a while and then I joined. And from that moment, working in the human design shadow training, doing the trainings, the pre-work, everything that I put inside. And when we started to do shadow dog and that kind of things, uh things were getting um even more exciting. So I started to do the work, actually doing the work, and I was motivated. I didn't need anyone to encourage me, remind me, tell me that there's a new module coming. I was like, getting this reminder of new module jumped in, and I was
Mhm.
like, okay, give me 12 p.m. Give me 12 p.m. I want to do the work. So
Yeah.
I was super excited. And I was starting from this position, being in human design, doing subconscious work, doing psychotherapy before, a lot of training. So I was super in my head and I was getting into my body because
Yeah.
this year was about the body. And this process like really opened up some wounds and a lot of things, but I was super ready for it. And I remember feeling super supported and welcomed. And after this, like it was 3 months because we're now upgrading to the mastermind.
Mhm.
I feel I'm in a totally different place. Like it's another universe, I would say.
Yeah.
I
So
feel everything
what
is
I
changing.
what I remember from when you signed up, I remember you saying like you had a little bit of a hard time with this being only shadow work. And I think that's so natural because a lot of people are like, well, in my work, I want to share the gifts of the body graph, not just the shadow. And I think I said, trust me, you're going to love the shadow piece if you love psychology and if you want to go deep into the body graph, because we do start at the shadow because you have to go really, really deep into that shadow in order to be able to embody that gift that we can later teach our clients as well. But I remember that like you were a little bit nervous about that. And I think a lot of people are. And once we started the actual shadow work, you were like, okay, now I can see this process. And now I can, find myself in this. And I think that was potent.
Exactly. And I remember talking to someone about the shadow work, and someone told me, like, this is, very dark work, like sad, the it's depressive.
Mm,
And I felt a bit discouraged because of the narrative, even though I was in the industry, in the work for years. And I got trapped into this, okay, but if this super depressive and super sad, and I will be, going down, not up. And that was my concerns. But I felt I need to try something different, like different
yeah.
approach, different kind of mentor. And you were super, honest and raw and totally different kind of person you meet online. And I felt I just need to trust the process and get into the work. And once we started to go through the modules and then through the shadow work itself, I started to work on things and discover things first I wasn't aware of existing.
Hmm.
Second, connecting the dots. I was looking for, desperately looking to connect, like, someone please help me connect the dots. And opening new chapters that I wasn't aware are blocking me. And it was completely different. The way you do it is completely different. I've never saw anyone online or offline doing the things you are doing. And even though I was in psychotherapy and with a lot of different people, I felt I was waiting and preparing for meeting you, meeting shadow work, this process in this form. Everything were preparing me to this thing that I was
Right.
doing. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, it's a roller coaster. And first I wanted to control the roller
Mhm.
coaster. And now I feel I can influence the roller coaster. I don't need to control it anymore. It's just,
Yeah.
I see the trigger and I have you and Whitney on my, shoulders. It's like, okay, what are you learning from this? Oh, it's a trigger. It's exciting. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it's
Yeah.
not, frustrating anymore. It just is. It's like
Mhm.
it's usual thing, and you just see it and you react,
Yeah.
but differently.
I think also what you were saying about connecting the dots, like something that we try to do is kind of give you like the foundational elements of shadow work so that like we touch on everything, parents, siblings, husbands, wives, jobs, like we talk about everything so that hopefully in the future, when something does come up, you're like, oh, wait a minute, I know this. I know what dot this connects to. I know where to go with this shadow. Like I know how to move through this, how to hold this discomfort. And that's really what we try to do too, is to give you the tools rather than you be dependent on us forever. I want you to have the tools in your toolbox to be able to use however you need to later. So doing all this work, it was a lot. It definitely, we went deep. We did a lot of shadow docs. Where do you feel like you are now because of this work, because of the shadow work, the human design shadow work?
It's like a manuscript, as I believe someone said, the shadow dog. It's almost
Mm,
90 pages. After 3 months, I have 90 pages of my work, and I'm like, oh my fucking God, this is amazing.
yeah.
I feel, as I showed you my room just before we started to chat, my surroundings are changing. Like, we have this huge renovation in our house. I'm renovating my office to upgrade this outer vision to the level of abundance that I feel inside. My style of, like, me wearing things, clothing change. I'm wearing the earrings that I wasn't allowing myself and expressing myself, how I was not allowing myself to express.
Mm,
I am putting colors and flowers and different kind of patterns. I remember doing this in high school, and then it was all black and gray and, this professional thing. And now I'm just unlocking this me that I left at some point. So I reconnected not with my inner child itself, like only with my inner child, but I believe I got my spark back. It's
Yeah.
just it's stronger. My self-awareness is much broader. My confidence is stronger. My relationships has changed tremendously with my mom, like going through this shadow dog, and with my dad as well, triggering this wounds and reopening and connecting. I had so many amazing conversations with my loved ones, with my friends, with my husband, with my parents, with like everyone that I was waiting for to have. So I feel so much more mature and
Mm,
so much more inspired by my own life and my own being. Like my life is not boring. It wasn't boring before, but it's even more um even more in confidence, and it has this magic, and I
mm,
feel I'm having thoughts and visions and conversation that are much more exotic, wilder than it was before. And
yeah.
it all started after the shadow dog. So process was inner, but I see every decision, every me entering something, every conversation, everything that I have in my 3D world, let's say, is being affected by the work. So I see one-to-one influence of what I've been doing. And then I'm just, closing my laptop and I'm like, oh my God, it's my life.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's
It's
and
not
it's three
just,
months.
yeah. Like a lot of people sign up for this to increase their business, to make more money, to do something different in business, to stand out from the human design crowd. And we do change your business, the way that you do business if you want. A lot of people start doing shadow readings. I know you've been doing them with great success. You're probably the only person in Poland that does shadow readings, which is amazing. We can leverage that for sure. But then it's also your life. You look around and you're like, wow, everything is changing. Everything is becoming more me.
I remember going into this, having business and money just, in the back of my mind. But I was more um curious about the process, this dark, raw thing, because I needed this someone to touch my soul and something to touch my soul finally. Human design was doing this from this fluffy, pink and beautiful side, but I felt it's something more.
Hmm.
And I upgraded so many things, like my own happiness, abundance level, like everything, like me feeling more honest with myself. I took responsibility for a lot of things that I was ready to go for it, and my business started to explode. It exploded. I'm doing readings, I'm doing consultations, I'm not doing the things that I was doing before. So the basic bitch human design readings, as I'm not doing this anymore. For some special occasions, yes, but I'm doing shadow readings mainly, and I feel amazing. And it's not depressive, it's not sad, it's not all of those things that people are trying to disencourage you that human design and shadow work in a connection is. So business
Yeah.
is exploding and changing, but it's a reflection of
Of you.
the spark and the truth.
Yeah.
So it's amazing, and I feel it's just starting. It's just the
For sure.
beginning of the process. So it's
Awesome.
beautiful how it all, when you're not having this expectation. And I remember leaving some of those things in front of the door, and I was entering because I knew I can sabotage the process. But that's why, and I believe my business is flourishing because I did the process for myself first. And now I understand why you're so stressing that. Okay, knowledge and things, nuances, it's amazing, but you need to go through this it yourself. So when you meet your clients, you can meet your clients where you are, like on the level that you are operating.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And when I'm doing readings now, I'm like, been there, been there, been there too. Yes, girl, amazing. I know this. I cried on it, and I'm like, okay. So
Yeah.
that's why it's
You
4.
get it on a different level. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Paulina. I really appreciate your time. And I can share your information too if somebody's watching from Poland and wants to get a reading in Polish. That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.